I've been focusing on the games industry a lot lately, haven't I? What with Battlefront 2's microtransaction fever happening and Bethesda needing a good shouting at, we've not had much time to talk about the main point of gaming, which is, playing games. So today we rectify that and talk about one of the best bits about gaming. Today I'm going to talk about bosses. What is it that makes them so memorable, and how do you go about making a truly iconic boss fight, one that people talk about for years, even decades afterwards? You've got good bosses, even glorious bosses. You've got bad bosses, either of the insultingly easy flavour or the unfair RNG based overpowered utter bastard variety. And then, you've got the most memorable kind, those bosses that crawl under your skin, either because they are quite simply the best thing ever, or because they give you nightmares about random number generators for the next 20 years. Of course, it's not necessarily just about the gameplay. Sometimes you get a boss that's so memorable because of other interactions with the player, like the succubus from Devil May Cry's reboot prequel, whatever the fuck it is. She was a great boss, despite the gameplay being a bit easy, because, well, I can't help but love a boss who starts a fight by telling me my mother's a whore, then calls me a disgusting fuckchild and vomits all over me. When you think about it, the succubus is kinda similar to GLaDOS. Sure, the mechanics are completely different between the two of them, but what made them both special was the epic, god tier, crosses the line at least twice shit talking. The succubus promises to rip off my head, piss down my neck and shit on the carcass, while GLaDOS turns passive aggressive abuse into an art form. But anyway, since we're talking about bosses and my current favourite game is Dark Souls, how can I not mention some of that game's glorious bosses? What? Why not? Remember whose channel this is? Only one? Well, that's hardly fair. Fine. In that case, I'm going to choose Ornstein and Small, the best double act in all of Lordran. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Small is an executioner and is a fat bloke with a hammer. Kinda like Subtitle Guy, but with a hammer. And then there's Ornstein, a thin, nimble guy with a spear. He's fast and he likes to penetrate you. But why am I bringing up this double act? Well, they were the first boss that outnumbered me and felt genuinely fair. Why? Because like most bosses in Dark Souls, they followed a pattern, and because of that, all you had to do was be patient and you would win. Assuming you kept one eye on Small while you're fighting Ornstein, that is. But then, that's the easy option. See, this boss not only outnumbers you, it has two different outcomes. If you down Small first, you fight Ornstein in Phase 2, and Phase 2 Ornstein is a lot faster and hits a lot harder. But if you down Ornstein first, you're fighting Phase 2 Small, and while he is much stronger than his original form, he's still slow and you can take advantage of that. Compare that to say, the Throne Watcher and Throne Defender in the sequel, a duo with no recognisable patterns and no second form. If you down one of these two, 60 seconds pass and the one that's still alive revives the other. And I don't know about you, but that feels like they were trying to make the boss artificially difficult. Still, the Defender had some nice armour. But yeah, going from a boss that was executed almost perfectly to RNG incarnate. And those two aren't the only instances of a boss being RNG's chosen one. Oh no. We're moving into the realms of Bloodborne now, with a certain vacuous spider who goes by the name of Rom, or as I like to call her, the 8-legged bitch of Yharnam. She can and will kill you in an instant if she chooses. She can let you live or die by the power of her legions of spider minions and her ridiculously powerful AoE, completely on a whim. But that's enough about bosses that are pure RNG. Now I want to talk about a boss that broke me when I was younger, and I know I'm not the only one this beast discard. Picture the scene. I was 7 years old and I'd just beaten the second gym of Pokemon Gold. Yeah, Those of you who played either the originals or the remakes already know exactly who I'm talking about. So I'd just beaten the second gym and made my way into Goldenrod City. My team's fully healed, and so I made my way into Whitney's gym, completely oblivious over what was about to have its way with me. It started out simple enough, a Clefairy that went down in a few turns, but then she brought out the fucking mill tank. A bovine bellend that not only had the ability to wreck your entire team, but could heal itself, making it a self-sustained wrecking ball. Yeah, I and a lot of other people will never forget that fucking mill tank, in the same way that Tokyo will never forget Godzilla. So we've had bosses that fuck with you to put you off your game, we've had bosses with utterly brilliant gameplay mechanics, we've had bosses that are completely unfair. What happens if we combine those, give the player a way to outsmart the unfairness, and infuse the boss with the magical ability to piss on the fourth wall? 2 words: Psycho Mantis. You see, some bosses are just destined to be remembered forever. Bosses who don't even need to be explained because literally everyone knows who they are. GLaDOS is one, and Psycho Mantis is another. You all know why he's so amazing. You all know that he could read your mind through your memory card. You all know that he could predict the future and anticipate your every move until you put the controller in port 2 to make him freak the fuck out. Hideo Kojima, you are a mad bastard and I love you. You, my insane friend, are getting a video all of your own one day. But then, Mantis wasn't the only great boss in the Metal Gear Solid franchise, not by a long shot. He wasn't even the only great boss in Metal Gear Solid 1. There was Vulcan Raven, Sniper Wolf, Revolver Ocelot, a cyborg ninja, Liquid Snake in the Hind D, Liquid Snake in Metal Gear Rex, Liquid Snake in his pants. And that's just the first game. Metal Gear Solid 2 has a handful of bosses, like Vamp, although that game was more dedicated to the gigantic and scarily prophetic meme-based headfuck at the end. But Metal Gear Solid 3, oh blimey, Snake Eater had yet more iconic bosses, and the one that haunts me to this day is the end. A decrepit old bastard with photosynthetic skin, a sniper rifle, and a parrot. Welcome to possibly the most protracted boss fight in video game history, with a boss who's a bugger to find, who can roam over 4 separate maps, and who you can't get near because his bloody parrot warns him you're coming. Or you could shoot him in the cutscene where he shows up hours before his boss fight, whereupon he immediately explodes. Alternatively, you can tweak your console's clock and make him die of old age, and although Snake feels bad about it, fuck it, because you get to see his parrot explode. Why? Japan! Kojima is also a heartstring tugging bastard. In the final boss fight of the game, when you finally fight the boss, it's not enough that the arena you fight in is achingly beautiful, white flowers slowly becoming more and more soiled by blood. It's not enough that you're fighting your mentor and possibly the only other person you truly care about. No, the last stab in the heart is that you cannot finish the game without pulling the trigger and ending her pain yourself. Just before that cutscene plays, one that might be the best ending of a game ever, with Snake now using the name Big Boss saluting her grave. It's something of a tonal shift from my favourite boss in the game, the Pain. The man best described as, everybody join in now, covered in bees. So, time for a conclusion here, and I reckon we can answer the question posed at the start of the video. How do you go about making a truly iconic boss fight, one that people talk about for years, even decades afterwards? Turns out, the answer's remarkably simple. All you need to do is be Hideo Kojima. And on that bombshell, it's time to end. Thanks very much for watching. I am AutomaTitan, and it's time for me to go deal with a real life boss fight, by which I mean Subtitle Guy. or to give him his Metal Gear Solid codename, Arsehead Blobfish.